mislay letters.
No, we blame our staff.
Well, whatever. You vastly overpay.
Anyway, Roy, can you move on to the... I believe you had a concern about drugs.
Yes, we will move on, definitely, on drugs. Mr. Davis, do you agree with me, as I said to the gentleman who's Mr. Reeve's guest, that a lot of crime is committed by drug addicts and drug dealers?
Of course, yes.
Well, Mr. Davis, do you realise that the majority of people do not care about drug addicts and drug dealers? Now, drug addicts prey on the vulnerable to feed their habit. Are you really expecting people to have sympathy for drug addicts when they are responsible for mugging old ladies in the street?
No, I'm not.
Giving drugs to young children outside school gates?
No, I'm not asking for that at all.
Well, I think you're quite irresponsible,
Well,
sir.
no, wait a minute. You're attacking me for something which I'm not actually saying.
Well, I think you are quite irresponsible by advocating legalising drugs,
so you
which
think
are evil and
you
destroy
think, Roy,
our younger generation and our future generations. Let's not say, let's legalise drugs. Let's ban drugs and lock up drug dealers. Well, I would actually hang drug dealers.
Well, tell me, what's the difference that you're approaching? Apart from this hanging business.
I'm sick to death of drug addicts
you're
and
advocating
drug
the
dealers
status quo.
ruining our
What you're calling for is the policy which has been in place for the past 50 years, and you're presumably saying that's a great success, are you?
Say that again.
You're calling, if we take away the exception of the hanging of drug dealers, you're calling for the policy which is in place at the moment and which has been in place for the past 50 years. And you're presumably saying this is a great success and I shouldn't challenge it.
No, what I'm saying is this, sir. I strongly disagree with the fact that you advocate legalising drugs, which is a poison in our local communities. What would you do if your young child of 11-year-old came home and said, "Hey, Mummy, somebody's just handed me a bag of heroin"? What would you do? Would you say, "Oh, it doesn't matter, let's legalise it"?
With the greatest respect,
get your facts right, Mr. Sir.
I don't think.
Roy, break. Roy, would you please show Mr. Davis some of the respect you rarely show me by listening to what he has to say?
Okay then.
Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Davis.
Well, very simply, the argument I'm putting forward is that the approach we've been taking for the past 50 years has led to a massive increase in drug use and huge inflation in the profits being made by drug dealers. And these people are preying on the drug users, who in turn are preying upon the rest of society. I want to find and explore alternative ways of tackling these problems to reduce the harm to society. In effect, I want the same objectives, I suppose, that Roy wants, except that he believes that what I'm saying will make the situation worse, and what I'm saying is that he's advocating the existing policies which have created the problems in the first place.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And it's typical of a Liberal Democrat with his Pinko views. Let's all feel sorry for drug addicts and drug dealers and forget about the majority in this society who are law-abiding and do go about their business in a normal manner. But what I'm concerned is, and what is heartfelt with me, is the fact that these parasites standing outside school gates and in young children of 10, 11, young samples of heroin or crack or whatever it may be, that is disgraceful. Let's not have any pretense about these people. These people are evil and they need to be dealt with. And we need to save our local communities from the evil of drugs.
Yeah, but what does that mean? I mean, all that is fine words, but we've had those words by other politicians being spouted decade after decade.
Well, if we have
they've achieved nothing.
Well, if we have your policies, we'll end up in a bigger mess than we already are.
Well,
because
that's a
the Liberal
possibility, but I think you need to
have
explore
no
some alternatives
policies whatsoever on anything. But Liberal Democrat policies on drugs is a disgrace and would only lead to more casualties of the drug problem, of young children becoming addicts at the age of 13 and 14, which is an absolute disgrace. And your party is an absolute disgrace. And you're a disgrace for advocating legalisation.
I think you're widening the topic a little here, Roy. do you tell you something, Mr. Davis? I don't take any illegal drugs, you know, and considering I speak to Roy probably most nights of the week, you might find that surprising.
Well, that's absolute disgrace, and you're an absolute disgrace, and everyone's a disgrace to say that. Let's legalise drugs. Let's legalise drugs. Right. Let's get all our young children addicted to drugs. Absolute disgrace. It's time you should all wake up, and all these liberal politicians who say, you know, let's legalise cannabis, which is known now to create mental illness, is just a part of the Liberal Democrat manifesto. No wonder all the
I thought it was
Liberal Democrats are mentally ill.
Oh,
absolute disgrace.
Roy, I think you perhaps tried to refine matters, but yeah, oh yes, all right.
Rubbish.
Anyway, everyone apparently is a disgrace. So I think we should all consider ourselves chastened. Anyway, Mr. Davis, you see what I mean? That's why you're probably better off being in Brussels than
in Oldham.
Yeah,
where I am now.
Yeah, oh, is that where you are?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
I'd be worried.
It's not that glorious.
Well, it borders Tameside, so I think that would be the most worrying aspect of that. So, okay, but I mean, there you have heard the views of the...
Well, yes, and
what should I say? The lowest common denominator, perhaps.
But it's a defence of the status quo. I mean, I suppose my concern here is simply trying to find a way forward is difficult. We all know that. I mean, if it was simple, then politicians would be grasping for it. But I find it indefensible to continue arguing for a status quo, which has led us up such a blind alley and led us into such difficulties. What Roy has just been saying about the evils of drugs, all these alleged evils, which I accept, have taken place while the policies he advocates have been in force. Liberal policies, I'm sorry, you know, what I'm advocating here is not the policy of my party, it's an individual view. But the policies of liberalisation, of legalisation of